All right, so you learned how to solve substitution-wise, right? Today we're going to cover the second method to solve algebraically. Okay, and that is called elimination. And you're going to use these methods in grade 11 as well, and grade 12, and even in calculus. So you need to know how to do this. So it's another algebraic method. So how do we solve by elimination? Now, here's the thing. There's only one step that's different, and the rest is the same as substitution. Okay, just one new step. And that first step is different. So when the coefficients of x or y are the same, a sign may be different, you can add or subtract the equations to eliminate a variable. That's essentially what we're going to do. Might just be words to you right now, but in a second it might make sense. Once you have solved for one variable, then everything's the same. Okay, so for our goal here is we want to make one of the, either the x's or the y's, to be the same variable or same coefficient. The signs can be different. Okay, so we can either make the x's the same or we can make the y's the same. Does it really matter? No. So let's make the x's the same. So how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to multiply this equation by something, and I'm going to multiply the second equation by something. The whole equation, so that the coefficients are the same. So what do you think what would be the lowest common multiple of 3 and 2? 6. So that means the first equation, we're going to multiply it by 2. Actually, just by 2. Right? Because we want to make it 6. So I'm going to multiply the whole equation by 2. Okay? So we're going to make, I should write that step out maybe because it's the first time we're doing this. Let me move this down a little bit. Okay. So we're make the coefficients of one variable the same. So in this case, we're gonna make x. Make x the same. So if I multiply that whole equation by 2, what does it become? 6x plus 8y equals 58. Good. What will we multiply the second equation by if I want to make the x equal to 6? X by 3. I'm going to multiply this equation by 3. This is 1 and 2. Sorry, it's not responding. Oh, there it is. 1, 2. So we get 6x minus, yeah? Nope, because there was a plus 4. Oh. Yeah. Sorry, it's very faint up there, hey? Sorry, I don't know why it's coming like that. It's my projector. I'm supposed to be getting a light bulb, but probably won't arrive till like next semester. So by then it'll be too late. A new bulb. Okay, negative 19 times 3 is what? Well, you can use a shortcut, guys. In your head, 3 times 20 is what? 60 take away 3? Negative 57. Yeah. Okay, now, so this step was different. What we want to do is eliminate, because we made the x's the same, we want to eliminate the x's. So in this case, because the signs are the same, will I add them or subtract them to make it equal to 0? We're going to subtract, okay? So if I want to subtract, I'm going to subtract the second equation from the first equation. Because if I had 6x minus 6x, what would that equal? It equals 0 x's. The x's will cancel out. Now, one thing I recommend with my 10Cs is when we subtract, often students make mistakes. So what can we do when we subtract? Don't make mistakes? Sure. You could use your calculator, or we could add by doing what? Switching the signs. So I can make this a plus by switching the signs of all the signs here. So this becomes a negative 6x plus 15y and plus 57. Now we can just add the equations together. What is 6 plus negative 6? It's 0. It's gone. 8 plus 15. 23 y's equals 58 plus 57. 115. So it's called elimination because we are eliminating a variable by adding or subtracting equations together. Okay, now what do? Divide both sides by 23, and y is equal to, is it 5? Yes, it is 5. Okay, now, once we're at this step, it's the exact same as what we did in substitution. Okay, so what did we do now? Sub y equals 5 into any equation. Okay, so which one do you want to do? I always like to use the originals. Doesn't matter. The numbers are smaller. So 1 or 2? 1, sure. Okay, 3 times x plus 4 times, instead of y, we're going to put 5 equals, what did it equal? 29? And times 3x plus 20 equals 29. Subtract 20. This is fun algebra, right? Oh. I thought it was fun algebra. What is x equal to? Divide both sides by 3. X is 3. Okay, what's our last step here? Check. Actually, it should be technically 1, make the coefficients the same. Step 2 is the subtraction or addition, but that's okay. Okay, check. You should be checking with both to be safe. I mean, realistically, we just subbed into equation 1, but you should do both. So 3 times, what's the x? 3 plus 4 times 5 has to equal 29. Does that equal 29? Yes, 29 equals 29. Please write this down, guys. There's a lot of talking going on, not enough writing. And the other equation was 2 times x minus 5 times y equals what? Negative 19. And that's true. So equation 1 and equation 2. Okay, that's elimination. A little different? Yep. Turn the page. Okay, so with elimination, if we have the same signs, then we subtract. As long as the coefficients are the same. Uh-oh, you can't see that. Let me move it down. Okay, if we have opposite signs, so for example, like here if I had 6x and 6x, we subtracted, right? If we had 6x and negative 6x, we would actually add them. Oh, you can't read that either. Sorry. So if you want to avoid the subtraction, you could automatically make them opposite signs. That's one thing you can do. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, the first thing is which variable do you want to make the same, the a's or the b's? Sometimes it's obvious, right? Sometimes it's going to be one's going to be a lot easier than the other. But in this case, it's not, because I have to multiply both equations. If I had an equation like 2a plus 3b equals 10, and then I had like a plus 6b equals 12, it would be a lot easier. Well, it doesn't matter. A or B would be easier, but because the nice thing is I'd only have to multiply this equation by 2 if I wanted the a's the same. Or I could multiply this equation by 2 if I want the b's the same. So if we can avoid it, we only change one equation. In this case, we're going to have to change both, no matter what we do. Okay? So you chose A? Yeah? Okay. So what's the lowest common multiple of 6 and 4? 12. Okay, we're going to multiply the first equation by what? 2, and the second equation we're going to multiply by 3. Now, if you want to automatically make them opposite signs, what could we do to do that right off the bat? Make one of them a negative. So we can make, which one do you want to make negative? The second one? So let's make that a negative 3. Multiply everything by negative 3. Now the signs are automatically going to be opposite, and we could just add. We don't have to worry about subtracting and switching signs later, if that makes sense. Okay, so first equation becomes 12a plus what? 10b equals 48. Okay, second equation becomes negative 12a, because we're multiplying it by negative 3. Then minus 9b equals minus 36. See, now that the signs are this opposite, we're going to actually just do what? Add. We would have had to subtract and then switch the signs anyways, so we basically skipped a step there by adding that negative. Okay, so what happens with the 12a and negative 12a? Cancels. So we're left with 1b equals to 12? Yeah. That was easy. B equals 12. Okay, next step. Sub b equals 12 into either. Which one would you like? Second? Sure. 4a plus 3 times 12 has to equal 12. For a plus, so here we're sub b equals 12 into equation 2. That's what we're doing. Okay, what's our next step? Subtract 36, and I get 4a equals negative 24, then a equals negative 6. And so last is your check. You should be safe, just sub it into both. Six times negative 6 plus 5 times 12 has to equal 24. And 4 times negative 6 plus 3 times 12 has to equal 12. Okay, remember I showed you on your calculator you can store letters? Do you remember that? Some of you? So I could actually go by my calculator. I can type in negative 6 and I could store it as A, alpha A. And I can type in 12 and store it as B. And then my check, I could actually go, where's the original equation? Always use the original when you're checking. 6A plus 5B. And that equals 24. And then 4A plus 3B, alpha B. And that should equal 12. There it is. Okay. All right. The next question I'm actually going to get you to change, if possible. Okay, can you change this to should have thought of this ahead of time. It's probably just going to get ugly otherwise. Okay, make this 3 over 2x plus 2y equals 11 over 2. And then make the second equation 3 over 2x minus 20, make it 5 over 4. I'm hoping this will work out. Y equals -1. Okay. Sometimes you're given fractions in your equations. Okay? And so we want to make the equations a lot easier by eliminating those fractions. Okay? And so our elimination step is going to take 2 extra steps. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, if you're given fractions like this, we want to get rid of the fraction. So what you're going to do is multiply everything by the common denominator. What would be the lowest common denominator? Okay, so it's just an extra step. So this one, what would you multiply the first equation by? 2. Yeah. So let's multiply everything by 2. Okay, what's 3 over 2 times 2? 3x plus, what's 2 times 2y? 4y equals, what's 11 over 2 times 2? 11. Okay, what would we have to multiply the second equation by? 2 and 4, what's the lowest common denominator? Would be 4. So we're going to multiply everything by 4. All right, what is 4 times 3 over 2? 6, good, right? If you're multiplying by 3 over 2, you can actually reduce the 4 and 2 to 2 and 1. And so 2 times 3 gives you 6, 6x. Plus, oh, not plus, sorry. 4 times -5 over 4. Minus 5y equals, careful, common mistake is forgetting to multiply the constant. Negative what? -4. 4 times -1 is -4. We multiply everything by 4. Everybody. To keep the equations equivalent. Okay, so that's important. It's going to be on your quiz. Okay? I'm telling you now. On quiz. You have to be able to rearrange your equation so your coefficients are integers instead of fractions. It's actually not that hard. Okay. Yeah, it's the same one. Hee. Okay, you already solved it? Then you know the answer. All right, who's easier to get the same, the x's or the y's? The x's, by doing what? Multiply the first equation by 2. Now, that would make them the same sign, so we're going to have to subtract. If you want to avoid subtraction, what can we make the 2? A -2. We're going to multiply everybody by -2. You don't have to. You can keep it just 2 and then subtract. But I like to make it so I'm going to add. Okay, so I get -2 times 3x is -6x. -2 times 4y minus 8y equals -22. Okay, and this equation stayed the same. So their signs are different. So in order to get 0, we are going to add. You could have kept them the same sign, so just made this a positive 2, okay? And then you would have subtracted the equations, and that's fine. Okay, so here, negative 6x plus 6x cancels. Negative 8 plus negative 5. Negative 13y equals negative 26. Divide both sides by negative 13, and you get 2. Okay, now here's the thing. When you sub y equals 2 in, you can sub it into any equation. It would be easier to sub it into this original or these new ones. The new one, so why not use that? Let's use one of these. Okay, you want to use the first or the second? Second, sure. Okay, so I'm going to sub y equals 2 into equation 2, the new one. 6x minus 5 times 2 equals negative 4. Finish this off, guys. Okay? On your own. Finish it off. Doesn't matter which one you check with. Yes, always with who? The original. Now, these originals are pretty ugly, so if I were you, I would probably use my calculator. You don't have to. Okay, so you have to check with your originals always, always, always. So I would store, there we go. Okay, store x as, so 1 store is x, 2 store is y, alpha 1. Oops. And then 3 over 2x. Plus 2y has to equal to 11 over 2, 5.5. Yep. 3 over 2x minus 5 over 4y, negative 1. Okay. On your unit exam, the checks are annoying right now during the notes because you're like, oh, it's right, we know it's right, blah, blah, blah. When you're writing your exam, it's awesome because you know if you got 100 on that question or if you know if you did something wrong. So the checks, they seem meaningless right now, but they are meaningful when you're writing your test because they will show you if you're correct or if you're wrong. You should be able to walk out of your unit exam or out of your quiz and know if you got that question right or wrong. Okay? All right. If you look at the next page, I just want you to write the equation. We're not going to solve it. We're just going to get you to write the equation. So read through this problem, and I want you to come up. Let's use the same variables. We're going to use G and S. Okay, please write the 2 equations. It says Connor downloaded 2 orders of games and songs. The first order consisted of 5 games and 4 songs for $26. The second order consisted of 3 games and 2 songs for $15. All games cost the same amount and all songs cost the same amount. So what is the letter G going to solve? Like, what does it stand for? What about the games? Is it the number of games or the cost of the game? The price. Look, in your question, the question will always tells you what the variables represent. Determine the cost of 1 game and 1 song. So there's your variables, okay? In the question is your variables. So G actually stands for the cost of 1 game. And S would be the cost of 1 song. That's what you're looking for. That's your unknown. We know the number that they purchased. We don't know the price of each one. Okay, what's your first equation? 5G plus 4S equals 26. What's the second equation? The second order consisted of 3 games and 2 songs cost us $15. Okay. You guys can solve this on your own if you want. The notes I could put up on the website. I just want you to practice writing the equation for now. Okay? Let's turn the page. Okay, I want you to read through this and write the two equations. We'll use the same variables again. And I want you to use M and Y. So you have to define what those mean. Do step 1 and step 2. Total price was $273.50. Okay, and so there's your two equations. Your first equation would be M plus Y equals 160. M muffins plus Y yogurts equals 160 total objects sold. Then the money all goes together. 150M plus 2Y, always all the money together. Usually, well, whenever you have a total amount of money and a total objects problem. 273.50. Okay, so M stood for the number of muffins sold. Okay, Y was number of yogurt sold. And there's your two equations. We're not going to solve it. We're just going to leave it at that because I want you to go to, is there a problem on the next page as well? Okay, write the equation for that. Do step 1 and 2. You can go if you want. One second. It's very helpful if you draw a diagram. Okay, where is the first equation going to come from? The perimeter of a rectangle is 17 meters. Is that an equation? What is the equation? Perimeter. Guys, what's the formula for perimeter of a rectangle? You should know this, especially as an AP class. Yes. Thank you. 2L plus 2W equals 17. Guys, you've been doing rectangles since like grade what? 7? 6? You should know the perimeter of it's on your formula sheet if you don't, but really, especially as AP students, come on. So there's your first one. I don't know if that was rude, but maybe it was. Okay, the next equation says triple the length. So how do you write triple the length? 3L is, what does is stand for? Equals, thank you. 2.46 meters longer than 5 times the width. How would you write that? 5W plus, or you could write the 2.46 first, plus 5W, or 5W plus 2.46. Okay, so you have 3L equals, it was 5W plus 2.46. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, there's your two equations. All right, what I'd like you to do, we're not going to solve this. You're welcome to solve this if you want. On your spare time, I have the answers here. I'd like you to turn to the back page and write these two equations that are on the board. Okay, there's two equations there. I'll actually write it on the front too. The first one, I have to adjust my thing because I put it up there for the video. Now it's way up there. Okay, so first one, 2x plus 3y equals 5. 4x plus 6y equals 10. All right, so if we're going to solve by elimination, which variable do you want to eliminate, x or y? X? Okay, so we're going to multiply x by what? Or all this whole equation by 2. Okay. So we have 4x plus 6y equals 10. 4x plus 6y equals 10. What happens when I subtract these two equations? Everything cancels out, so we get what equals what? 0 equals 0. Remember back in your notes, and I said, this doesn't mean anything yet, but it will mean something in the future when we talked about number of solutions. We wrote down, if we get 0 equals 0, what that means is those are the exact same lines. And so if they're the exact same lines, how many solutions does that have? Infinite. So if you ever get 0 equals 0, everything canceling out, then we have infinite solutions. They're the same line. My brightness is weird. I'm going to adjust that. Infinite solutions. Okay? Write down the second equation, which is 3x minus 4y equals 7. And negative 6x plus 8y equals 10. Okay, which variable do you want to eliminate, x or y? X? Okay, so we're going to multiply the first equation by what? 2 or negative 2. We could, remember they can be opposite signs, we could just add them. So it's up to you, it doesn't matter. So 6x minus 8y equals what? 7? 14. Students always do that. They forget the constant. I don't know why. And then this one stayed the same. So if the signs are opposite, are we adding or subtracting? We're adding. Okay? So what happens when we add? 6x plus negative 6x. What happens? 0. Negative 8y plus 8y. 0. So I actually get 0 equals what? 24. Is that possible? Does 0 equal 24? No. So that's actually how many solutions? 0. Or no solution. That is not possible. These lines will never meet. They do not intersect. Okay? If you actually had x equals 5, you actually get a variable equals a number, then you know there is one solution. Okay, there is an answer. But if you ever come to a problem and you in elimination or substitution and you get 0 equals 0, that's infinite solutions. Or 0 equals some number, that's 0 solutions. No solution, okay? All right, that is it for today. Your homework